Yay. So, okay. So, first of all, we called our talk this week The Tree and the Rock. And it was because of what we saw at McBride. And Jonathan Zenz, Reverend Jonathan in Tucson, and Dr. James in Los Angeles, we said, let's use that for our talk title this week and see where we all go with it. So that's how the title came. Okay. So it was nothing specific, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought it is very specific to creativity and to what we teach in the science of mind. But first, before I go there, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the takeaways I had from the Sacred Journey. And again, if you don't know what the Sacred Journey is, they come for a week. This is our 8th one. They come from all over, whoever wants to come, even on island people. And we have a theme. This theme was self-love. And we just have events, 1, 2 a day. That's all they can handle. We used to do 3 a day. And all the events are based in them opening up to not just the beauty of the island, but to their inner selves. So one of the events we did was to go to the Hindu monastery. We do that every year to meet with the Swami there, Sadasiva. Nasa Palani Swami, as he's now, has an extra part of his name, so I have to work on that. I know, I looked at it, I went, oh, okay. But anyway, someone asked him to tell them how he came to Hinduism. And he took a slight pause, and he had been asked this question before, so I kind of knew how he was going to answer it, and said that when they are made monks, when they are, become monks, that they have like a funeral for their older selves, for the prior selves in their prior life, and they don't talk about it ever again, and they just live in the present moment. So he couldn't tell us that, but he expounded on it by saying that we all carry little red wagons with us, and I got so much out of this, and it is so true. We all carry these little red wagons with all our stories in them. And we pull the stories out, depending on the situation we're in, and we tell the story over and over again. And some of those stories, I guess, we might want to tell them. They might be great stories, but some of them we were pulling out that are not so great stories, and we just keep reliving them and pulling them out. And we know, like from quantum science, that when we pull out our stories, we're pulling out all the emotions that those stories have with them, and then reliving those emotions again. So I thought it was really, I don't know that I could do that right now, just say, I'm not going to talk about my past anymore. I'm just going to be here and now. I know I try to do that, but I can see the richness of being able to do that, of being able to not predicate anything based upon what happened before, just being right here and right now. So that was a big takeaway for me. So now I go, we got a little red wagon out right now. So it's something, something to take with you. And then the other thing was, I realized, no, this is a funny story, kind of. Okay, I was walking on the beach with Reverend Eric from GTC, and I was thinking, I should warn them about the little jellyfish that come on the shore, but there's none here. So why would I warn them about these little jellyfish? And I kept thinking about the little jellyfish, those little blue ones, I don't know what they are, that you could step on and see. All of a sudden, I looked down and there were all jellyfish everywhere I walked. I was like, I wish I was like, why can't I demonstrate money like that? No, just kidding. I mean, I just thought it. And we've been talking about that, how powerful our thoughts are right now when we think things with enough energy behind them, it happens. I mean, this is not new to the science of mind, but got to think beyond jellyfish. So anyway, it was just an interesting moment. So I want to go back, though, to the McBride Gardens, because we went there, and it was a last-minute thing because we were supposed to have another event that got canceled, and so we had this opportunity to go with Maureen, I keep calling her Maureen Hoyt, Maureen Murphy, who is a horticulturist, a member of our center, and she took us to the McBride Gardens, and we walked through the gardens and learned so much from her about that. And so we came upon this tree that was seemingly growing out of a rock, and I think if you looked at our e-blast, you saw the actual picture of it, and that was where the idea came, like we should do our talk on this. And then, so I was thinking, when I was thinking about my talk to begin with, I thought, okay, so a tree can be strong enough to break through and grow out of a rock, but that is not what happens. Did you know that? Maybe I'm the only one that a tree doesn't grow out of a rock. What happens is different parts, the wind and everything and the rain and everything, it starts like goes through a process where it begins to grow from small amounts of soil and debris that collect in the pockets of the rocks. And over time, the tree may grow well enough to send its roots down into the rock, causing the rock to split and make it appear that the tree has sprung from within the rock instead of from its surface. I thought that was really fascinating because I had this whole thing about, oh, how strong we are. We can break through any obstacle and create, whatever it is we want to create. But that's not how the tree does it. It allows and accepts nature's forces. It doesn't have volition and choice like we have. It's just open and receptive, and allowing all of that to come together to create finally a tree that becomes strong enough to plant its roots and then grow. And I thought, this is really what we're doing. If we're living open and ready, the only difference is we have a choice to do that or not do that, and we have a choice to direct it. The tree's just, nature's just open and it's not conditioned on anything. It's just accepting and open. But we actually have the choice to accept or not accept our good, not accept our growth, not accept anything if we don't want to, or to accept. And we also have the choice to direct it the way we want to direct it. So there's a quote from The Science of Mind. I'm going to go through it for a minute that kind of went with this. And it said, each person, and this is from Ernest Holmes, the guy up back on the wall over there. If you don't know who he is, he founded the Science of Mind and Spirit back in the 1920s. Each person should realize that there is nothing within him which denies that which he desires. So there's nothing within us that's fighting against what we want to have in our life. There's nothing within us saying we can't have it. There's nothing within us. And when he says within us, he means within the nature of our true selves, within the nature of our God beingness, of our divine nature. There's nothing in there that's saying, no, we can't have it. Our unity with good is not established when there is anything within us which denies us. So we're the ones, because we have choice and because we have volition, we get to decide whether we want that good or not, or what we want. If we want, obviously, for jellyfish to appear on the beach, we get to do that if our thought is powerful enough to do that. It is powerful enough to do that. So he says, thought sets definite forces in motion in mind relative to the individual who thinks. So as we're thinking, we're setting the forces into motion. We're setting them into motion. Just like the tree, just accepting everything's out there. Everything is there for us, and we're setting it into motion in the field. A good demonstration is made when truth, gathering its own power, lifts one out of his environment. So as we can think, and really with emotion and feeling and knowing our power, we can lift ourselves out of our own environment, whatever that is that we want to change, and create a new life for ourselves. But we can't do it if we're vibrating at a lower frequency. We have to be vibrating at the frequency of whatever that is that we want to live in our lives. I'm sure that all these people that came to Kauai during a time that was very difficult would not have been able to do that if they were sitting in fear the whole time, wondering if they could get here or not. No, they had to vibrate at the frequency of the desire to be on the sacred journey enough that it catapulted them over that and here they are. The same thing with the sacred journey. We were talking about how we never thought of COVID 1 minute during that journey, not 1 second. We just were together and we were in the energy and we were directing the energy and we were just allowing the energy and it was flowing like so perfectly. I'm telling you, this is like, it's not new, but I think we're getting it at a different level. That's what I think. In fact, I know that. We're getting it at a different level because we can no longer live at the same level we were living at and expect to go through these times that we're in right now. It's very purposeful for us to dig deep and to be able to ground ourselves like that tree in the rock and just allow ourselves to expand and to grow. So he says that, Ernest Holmes, that we should stay where we are. How does it go? Truth gathering its own power lifts one out of his environment. Until that time comes, he should stay where he is in order to know that he made the demonstration. I think this is saying that when we're going to make a demonstration about something in our lives, we can't catapult ourselves physically there, but we only can catapult ourselves mentally there and emotionally there. So it's not like, sometimes we can get ahead of ourselves. We can think that we've got it, we can go out and we can take this trip or whatever it is. And then like me a long time ago, and you end up in not a million, but in debt because I went further than I could think. So it's about staying grounded and coming up and feeling the feelings mentally and emotionally, and then knowing that your demonstration is here because you're finally just living the life that you want to live. You're just finally living it. I feel that here on Kauai, like I didn't come here until I was ready to live this life. Everything fell into place and everything because I was ready. If I had tried to do this 10 years before I did it, I would not have been ready. I would have probably failed, and I failed at certain things because I wasn't ready. So, and then he says it's not a good demonstration if when we give our treatments with spiritual mind treatment, which we do here, which is a direction of energy through the power of our word. He says it's not a good thing if we give treatments and we're still struggling like we were before. So if you're doing something in your life and you're wanting to manifest it and you're still struggling, you need to go back and start all over again. You need to go back. Remember the story that Dr. Joe Dispenza says about his healing when he was putting his spine back together. And every time his mind went off into being in a wheelchair or whatever, he had to go back and start over again. So we have to keep going back. If we're struggling, then there's something else to be known. And there's something else to be known, basically. And the only way we can do that is by going back to the beginning and starting all over, treating, praying, whatever it is that you do. Principle is absolute. And insofar as any individual can actually induce within his consciousness upon principle, principle is that God is everything and that is always moving through us and is always creative, and that's what we're doing. We're always creating. A definite concrete acceptance of his desire, just like the tree, like the rock. The rock had to accept all that stuff that was flying to him, through him, as him, in order to manifest this tree, right? So it will manifest, he says, if even though, and this is the part I love, every thought on earth had to change to compel it. Now, have you ever made a demonstration in your life where you wonder how it happened? That is the law of your being, bringing it to you. He says, it will manifest even though every thought on earth had to change to compel it. If it were a bit of information that was needed for the demonstration that only one person on earth knew, and that person was in the center of Africa, the information would be provided. This is the way it works. This is the way it works when we get out of the way of how it's supposed to happen, and we allow ourselves to be open, accepting, and allowing of our good, and knowing that we deserve it. So, for me, it's the little things and the big things. It's not just, I want the center to grow, or, there's little things that we want in our life. It doesn't have to be some big, tremendous, mission that we have. It's just, maybe it's just more peace of mind. Maybe it's just feeling safe. Maybe it's just, you know, having a great relationship, whatever it is. And that's, I always love it when people tell me they can't find a man or a woman on this island. I go, why would you put that stipulation on it? Why not just say, I make the decision, I want to have a great relationship. That's what I want. I want to have a great relationship. So I'm going to start by having a great relationship with myself. And I'm going to start gathering the forces of nature that are going to bring it to me, because I'm in great relationship with myself. It doesn't matter if it, like he says, if it was in the deepest, darkest part of wherever, it's going to happen because you've made the decision to do it. I heard this talk by Bob Proctor today where he says, do you look at price tags when you go shopping? He said, don't look at price tags. Decide if you want it first. Why look at the price tag? Do you want that? So, well, it makes sense, right? And then if you look at the price tag after that and you say, well, you know what, I'm going to put it on layaway or whatever. But why look at the price tag first? Because you've already put an obstruction to your desire. So I think we do that. We put obstructions to our desire. So we, even though the tree is there, right? It's growing out of that. It's not growing out of the rock. It's actually growing on the rock. And it's growing on the rock. And then it's getting strong enough to root itself in the ground, through the rock, and actually splitting it. That's what we do. Once we get strong, once we allow and we gather the nature's forces that are within us, then we're going to be strong too, and we're going to be able to get through any obstacle we need to get through if we want to grow our roots anywhere, right? But we can't grow those roots if we're like not open and we're, you know, hardened and not allowing and not have the beautiful imagination of a child and all of that. We've got to open up to all of that. So we have to make a decision. That's the most important thing. And then we have to vibrate like that decision. We have to vibrate at the same energy as that decision. And then we'll have a demonstration. DVD. Place your DVD into the player of life. That's it. Decision, vibration, and demonstration, and watch the movie. It unfolds. It does. I'm proof of it. And I'm going beyond jellyfish, all right? So anyway, namaste.